CEO's daughter heard a stranger humming at the cafe. She whispered, "Daddy, that's Mommy's song." And he froze. Before we continue, please tell us where in the world are you watching from? We love seeing how far our stories travel. Marcus Reed sat in the corner booth of Second Chance's Cafe, the same booth he'd been claiming every Saturday morning for the past 3 years, nursing a coffee that had gone cold 20 minutes ago. His daughter Lily was sprawled across the worn leather seat beside him, blonde curls falling over her coloring book, humming softly to herself while she scribbled purple clouds above a lopsided house. This place still smelled like cinnamon and old wood, the kind of comfortable, worn-in feeling that made you want to stay longer than you planned. He came here because it hurt less than staying away, because this cafe held pieces of his late wife Rachel that he couldn't find anywhere else. 3 tables over, a woman sat alone with a sketchbook open in front of her, pencil moving in slow, careful strokes across the page. Emma Carter had been coming to this cafe for nearly a month now, ever since she'd found her sister's journal tucked inside a box of their mother's things after the funeral. The journal mentioned this place over and over, called it the place where my heart lives, and Emma had been trying to figure out what that meant, trying to feel close to a sister she hadn't spoken to in 10 years, a sister who died without either of them ever saying sorry. She started humming without realizing it, the way she always did when she was concentrating, an old lullaby her grandmother had taught her and Rachel when they were kids. The melody drifted across the quiet cafe, soft and low, just under the hum of the espresso machine and the murmur of weekend conversations. Lily's crayon stopped mid-stroke. Her head snapped up so fast her curls bounced, and she went completely still, eyes wide and locked on the stranger across the room. "Daddy," she whispered, and her voice had that weird tight sound like she was holding her breath. "That lady is singing Mommy's song." Marcus blinked, pulled out of whatever memory he'd been stuck in. "What did you say, sweetheart?" Lily pointed with her crayon, her small hand trembling just slightly. "That's the song from the recordings. The one you play at bedtime." Only Mommy knew that song. The words hit him like cold water. He turned slowly, looking at the woman with the sketchbook, the one humming a melody he hadn't heard anyone else sing in 3 years. The melody Rachel used to hum while cooking dinner, while rocking Lily to sleep, while playing the piano in this very cafe. He stood up before he could think better of it and walked over, his heart doing something uncomfortable in his chest. "Excuse me," he said, and his voice came out rougher than he meant it to. The woman looked up, startled, pencil freezing midline. She had green eyes that reminded him of someone, though he couldn't place who. "I'm sorry, was I bothering you?" "I didn't realize I was humming out loud," she said quickly, already apologetic. Marcus shook his head. "That song, where did you learn it?" Emma's brow furrowed, confused. "My grandmother taught it to me when I was a kid." "It's just an old lullaby." "Why?" Marcus felt his throat tighten, felt the ground shift just slightly under his feet. "My late wife used to sing that exact song to our daughter. I've never heard anyone else sing it." He watched the color drain from her face, watched her hands go still on the sketchbook. "Your late wife," she said slowly, carefully, like she was afraid of the answer. "What was her name?" "Rachel," he said. "Rachel Reed." The sketchbook slipped from Emma's hands and hit the floor with a dull smack. She stared at him like he'd just spoken in a language she didn't understand. Her lips parted, eyes filling with something that looked a whole lot like grief and shock mixed together. "Rachel Reed," she repeated, barely a whisper. "That was my sister's name. But we haven't spoken in 10 years. I didn't know she was." She couldn't finish the sentence, couldn't say the word. Marcus sat down across from her without asking, his legs suddenly not interested in holding him up anymore. "You're Emma." It wasn't a question. Rachel had mentioned a sister once, years ago. In a moment of sadness she'd quickly covered up. She'd said they didn't talk anymore, and Marcus had never pushed. Emma nodded, tears spilling over now, and she didn't bother wiping them away. "I didn't know she got married. I didn't know she had a baby. I didn't know anything." Before Marcus could respond, Lily appeared beside the table, clutching her drawing to her chest, staring at the stranger who was crying. "Are you my mommy's sister?" she asked, and her voice was so small, so full of wonder, that it cracked something open in both adults. Emma looked down at this little girl, at Rachel's daughter, at a niece she'd never known existed, and let out a sound that was half laugh, half sob. "Yes, sweetheart, I guess I am." Lily climbed onto the chair next to Emma without hesitation, the way only kids can, and reached out to touch Emma's hand. "Do you know more of Mommy's songs?" Emma nodded, unable to speak. "I know all of them," she finally managed. Lily smiled, the kind of pure, uncomplicated joy that only children possess. "Will you teach me?" Emma glanced at Marcus, uncertain, and he gave a small nod. "I'd love to," Emma whispered. And just like that, the song that had started everything began weaving them back together. One week turned into two, and Saturday breakfast at Second Chance's Café became the thing Lily talked about all week long, bouncing on her toes every Friday night, asking if tomorrow was finally Café day with Aunt Emma. Marcus watched his daughter lean against Emma's shoulder while she taught her a new verse of the lullaby. Watched the way Emma's whole face softened when Lily asked questions about Rachel, about whether Mommy likes strawberries, or if she was scared of thunderstorms, and he saw his late wife in both of them in ways that made his chest ache. Emma told stories Marcus had never heard, about Rachel sneaking out to play piano at midnight when their mother was asleep, about how she'd wanted to be a concert pianist before life got complicated and she'd chosen marketing instead. "She gave up music?" Marcus asked, genuinely stunned, because Rachel had never mentioned it. Emma nodded, something sad flickering across her face. "After our fight, she said it reminded her too much of what she left behind." When Lily ran off to the bathroom with the waitress, Marcus leaned forward and asked the question that had been sitting heavy between them all morning. "What did you two fight about?" Emma's defenses crumbled like wet sand. She told him about their mother's heart condition, about Rachel leaving for college anyway, while 19-year-old Emma dropped out to become a caretaker, about the screaming match that ended with Emma saying she never wanted to see Rachel again, and Rachel keeping that promise for 10 years straight. "I was so angry," Emma whispered, staring at her untouched tea. "But I was also terrified and alone, and I took it all out on her." Marcus pulled out his phone, scrolled to a folder he rarely opened, and showed her photos of Rachel he'd been carrying like secrets. Wedding pictures, and Lily as a tiny newborn, and Rachel's last birthday before everything fell apart. Emma's breath hitched looking at her sister's life, the entire decade she'd missed. "She had a box," Marcus said quietly, "full of letters she wrote to you but never sent. I didn't read them. They felt too private. But would you want them?" Emma's hand flew to her mouth, tears streaming now. "Yes, God, yes, please." Before Marcus could say more, Lily bounced back and immediately noticed Emma crying. "Why are you sad?" she asked, crawling into Emma's lap without asking permission. Emma wrapped her arms around this little girl who had Rachel's smile. "Because I miss your mommy very much." Lily patted her cheek seriously. "Daddy says it's okay to be sad because sad means you love someone big." Emma lost it completely, holding Lily tight while Marcus looked away to give them a moment. Later, after Lily went to play the cafe's piano, Emma started teaching her a new song, but suddenly stopped mid-note, hand flying to her chest, face going pale. Marcus was beside her in 2 seconds flat. "What's wrong?" She forced a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Nothing. Just got dizzy." But Lily, far too observant for a 5-year-old, tilted her head and said matter-of-factly, "Your heart hurts, I can tell." Emma stared at this child like she just read her mind. Marcus waited until Lily was distracted again before he cornered Emma, arms crossed, expression hard. "What's going on, and don't you dare say nothing." Emma looked everywhere but at him before finally whispering, "I have hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, the same thing that killed Rachel, the same thing our mother had. It's genetic." Marcus felt the floor drop out from under him. "Are you getting treatment?" Emma's silence was answer enough. "I can't afford it. No insurance. The medications alone are like $800 a month and I just don't have it." Marcus immediately pulled out his wallet and Emma stopped him with a hand on his wrist, fierce and stubborn. "No, absolutely not. I'm not here for your money." They stared at each other, both too proud and too scared to back down, until Lily came running over with a drawing of 3 people holding hands labeled "My Family" in wobbly crayon letters. Emma took one look at it and started crying all over again. And Marcus realized with sudden crushing clarity that he couldn't lose another person Lily loved, not when he just found her. 2 weeks slid by like water, and somewhere along the way, Emma Carter stopped being a guest at Second Chance's Café and started being part of the furniture, the kind of regular who had her own corner and her own coffee order that Mrs. Chen didn't even have to ask about anymore. She'd taken to teaching Lily piano after hours when the cafe was quiet and golden with late afternoon light. And Marcus would sit at the counter pretending to work on his laptop while really just watching the two of them together, his daughter's small fingers guided by Emma's steady hands. This particular Saturday, Emma stood up too fast from the piano bench, and the whole room tilted sideways. She grabbed the edge of the piano hard enough that her knuckles went white, and Lily noticed immediately because kids always do. "Aunt Emma, are you okay?" Emma plastered on a smile that didn't quite stick. "I'm fine, sweetheart. Just stood up too quick is all." But her hand trembled where it rested on the piano keys, and Marcus was already halfway across the cafe before he decided to move. "When's the last time you took your medication?" he asked, keeping his voice low. And even so, Lily wouldn't pick up on the tension. Emma's jaw tightened. "This morning?" Marcus didn't buy it for a second. "The truth, Emma." She looked away, defeated. "3 days ago, I ran out." The admission hung between them like smoke, and Marcus felt anger and fear twist together in his gut until he couldn't tell which was which. "You promised me you'd see a doctor," he said, and his voice came out harder than he meant it to. Emma's eyes flashed. "I did see one, Marcus. They want $2,400 for an echocardiogram before they'll even prescribe anything, and I don't have that kind of money just lying around." Marcus threw his hands up. "Then let me help you, for God's sake." Emma stood abruptly, chair scraping loud against the floor. "No, we've been through this. I'm not your charity case." "Your pride isn't worth your life," Marcus shot back, louder now, and the few other customers in the cafe were definitely staring. "Please don't fight." Lily's small voice cut through everything, wobbly and scared, and both adults froze like they'd been slapped. Emma dropped to her knees in front of Lily immediately. "I'm sorry, baby, we're not really fighting." But Lily's eyes were already wet, her bottom lip trembling. "I don't want you to go away like Mommy did." The words punched the air right out of Emma's lungs. She pulled Lily close, met Marcus's eyes over the top of those blonde curls, and saw her own fear reflected back at her. Later, after Lily had been coaxed back to coloring with the promise of extra whipped cream on her hot chocolate, Marcus pulled an envelope from his bag with hands that weren't quite steady. "These are Rachel's letters, the ones she wrote to you over the years." He set them on the table between them like an offering. Emma stared at the thick stack of paper, her sister's handwriting visible through the envelope, and couldn't make herself reach for them. "I don't know if I can read them," she whispered. Marcus's voice went soft. "She loved you. Every single letter says that. Whatever happened between you two, she never stopped." Emma finally took the envelope, held it against her chest like it might disappear. Before either of them could say anything else, Lily's voice rang out from the piano. "I want to show you something." She climbed onto the bench by herself and started playing the lullaby, halting and imperfect but unmistakably the same melody that had brought them all together. Emma and Marcus both went completely still, listening to this little girl play her mother's song in the cafe, where her mother used to play it every Sunday morning. Mrs. Chen stopped wiping down tables, tears gathering in the corners of her eyes. "Rachel used to sit right there," she said quietly, nodding toward the piano. "Every Sunday, same time, she'd play for an hour." Emma hadn't known that. Marcus hadn't known she'd played it here. And somehow that made it feel like Rachel was in the room with them, like she'd been orchestrating this whole thing from wherever she'd gone. When Lily finished, she beamed at them with pride written all over her face, and Emma clapped through her tears, while Marcus pulled his daughter into a hug that lasted longer than usual. "Did I do good?" Lily asked, and Emma knelt beside her. "You did perfect, sweetheart. Your mama would be so proud." Marcus sat on the piano bench next to Emma, and for just a moment she let her head rest on his shoulder, both of them missing the same person, finding some kind of comfort in shared grief that didn't need words. Emma stood to help Lily off the bench, and that's when everything went sideways. She gasped, a sharp, terrible sound, and her hand flew to her chest. The color drained from her face so fast it was like watching a light switch flip off. Emma! Marcus caught her as her knees buckled, lowering her to the floor as gently as he could while his heart tried to pound its way out of his chest. Lily, get Mrs. Chen. Tell her to call 911 right now. Lily ran, terrified, while Marcus pressed two fingers to Emma's neck and felt her pulse going absolutely haywire, too fast and skipping beats. Emma's eyes fluttered, unfocused. Marcus, I'm sorry. Tell Lily I... Don't you dare, he said fiercely, cupping her face. Don't you dare give up. Stay with me. The paramedics arrived in what felt like hours but was probably 5 minutes, and they immediately started working, checking vitals, asking questions Marcus could barely answer through his panic. And then Lily, small and brave and absolutely certain, started singing. The lullaby, clear and sweet, cutting through the chaos like light through smoke. Emma's eyes found her, focused on this little girl's face, and her breathing steadied just slightly, just enough. One of the paramedics glanced at Marcus. Keep her singing. It's helping. Lily sang louder, tears streaming down her cheeks, and when they loaded Emma onto the stretcher, Marcus said he was riding along. Mrs. Chen reached for Lily, but the little girl shook her head hard. No, I have to come. She needs the song. Marcus looked at his daughter, at the determination in her eyes, and nodded. They climbed into the ambulance together. Inside, Emma's heart monitor beeped erratic and angry, and Lily sat holding Emma's hand, still singing through her tears. Emma whispered, just like your mommy used to. Marcus's chest tightened, because he suddenly remembered Rachel used to sing this song during her panic attacks, used to use it to calm herself when the world got too loud. We're losing her rhythm, the paramedics said urgently, and Lily sang even louder, pouring everything she had into the melody. Emma's heart rate steadied, barely, just enough to keep her conscious, and Marcus finally understood that this song wasn't just a lullaby. It was a lifeline, passed down from grandmother to mother to aunt to child, and right now it was the only thing keeping Emma alive. The hospital waiting room at 2 in the morning was the kind of quiet that made your own breathing sound too loud. Fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, while Marcus held a sleeping Lily in his lap and tried not to think about how close he'd come to losing someone else he cared about. Emma was stable, the doctor said, but critical, and the next 24 hours would tell them whether she'd need emergency surgery or something worse. Mrs. Chen had brought the envelope of letters Emma had dropped at the cafe, and with Lily finally asleep against his chest, Marcus opened the first one with hands that shook just slightly. Rachel's handwriting hit him like a punch. The letter was dated 8 years ago, right after her fight with Emma, and it started with, Dear Emma, I'm getting married tomorrow and I wish you could be there. She'd written about Marcus, about how he made her laugh, about how stubborn he was, and ended with, I'm sorry I left, but I'm not sorry for the life I built. I just wish you were in it. He read through them all, one after another, Rachel's voice coming through so clearly it felt like she was sitting beside him. She'd written when she found out she was pregnant, when Lily was born, when she got diagnosed with the heart condition that would kill her. The last letter, dated a week before she died, made Marcus's vision blur. Emma, I'm running out of time. My heart skips more than it beats now, and I'm so scared of leaving Lily alone. If you ever find this cafe, you'll find pieces of me, and maybe you'll find my daughter. She needs our grandmother's songs. I forgive you for the fight. I forgave you the day after. I was just too proud to reach out first. Please stay for Lily. Be the sister to her that we couldn't be to each other. When the doctor came out hours later, Marcus was ready. She needs a defibrillator implant within 48 hours or the next episode will likely kill her, the doctor said bluntly. How much? Marcus asked. $45,000 without insurance. Marcus didn't even hesitate. Schedule it. I'll pay for everything. The doctor looked surprised but nodded and walked away. Mrs. Chen, who'd stayed the whole night, touched his arm gently. That's a lot of money. Marcus looked down at Lily, then at the letters in his hands. She's family and Rachel asked me to take care of her. When Emma finally woke up, groggy and disoriented, the first thing she said was, Is Lily okay? and Marcus felt something in his chest crack wide open. Lily scrambled up to the bed. I sang for you like Mommy used to. Emma started crying immediately, pulling Lily as close as the tubes and wires would allow. I heard you, baby. You brought me back. Marcus told her about the surgery, and before she could argue, he said firmly, I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it for her and for Rachel. He handed Emma the letters, and she read them, while Lily curled against her side, each one breaking her heart and healing it at the same time. When she got to the last letter, she could barely see through her tears. Lily patted her hand. Mommy loved you very much. Emma nodded, couldn't speak. Marcus leaned forward. Rachel left enough clues for you to find your way here. The journal, the songs, this cafe. She knew somehow you'd come. Emma looked at him with red-rimmed eyes. I'm sorry I fought you on accepting help. Marcus's voice went soft. You're not a burden. You're an answer to a promise I made my wife, that Lily would know where she came from, that she'd have family. Later, after Lily brought in her little keyboard and played the lullaby for Emma, after the three of them sang together with voices that blended like they'd been doing it forever, Emma whispered to Marcus, I'm scared. He took her hand. Then we'll be scared together, but we'll fight. And for the first time since she'd collapsed, Emma believed him. 3 months later, Second Chance's Café looked different in all the ways that mattered. Emma sat at the piano every Tuesday and Thursday now, teaching neighborhood kids while Lily watched with the pride of someone who'd gotten there first, and Marcus had stopped pretending he was just helping the cafe owner with finances, when really he'd been falling in love with the sound of music filling the space where Rachel's memory lived. The scar at Emma's collarbone, where they'd implanted the defibrillator, had faded to a thin line, barely visible, but she touched it sometimes like a reminder that she'd fought and won. She had health insurance now through the teaching job Marcus had insisted was a legitimate business arrangement and not charity, though they both knew he'd created the position specifically for her because he was stubborn like that. I have something to tell you both, Emma said one Saturday morning, pulling out a hand-drawn flyer. Spring recital at Second Chance's Cafe, all her students performing, and she wanted Lily to play the lullaby, their lullaby, dedicated to Rachel's memory. Lily's whole face lit up like Christmas morning. Really? Can I, Daddy? Marcus felt his throat get tight. Your mom would love that. The night of the recital, the cafe was packed wall to wall with families, and the piano had Rachel's photo sitting on top next to Lily's crayon drawing labeled, My Mommy, My Aunt, My Family. When it was finally Lily's turn, Emma announced to the room, This lullaby has traveled through 3 generations, from my grandmother to my sister, Rachel to me, and now to Rachel's daughter. Lily walked to the piano, tiny and brave, and played the song that had brought them all together. Every person in that cafe went dead silent, watching this 5-year-old pour her whole heart into a melody that meant everything. Marcus watched his daughter and saw his wife in every note. Emma watched and saw her sister's legacy alive and thriving. When Lily finished, she ran straight into their arms. Did Mommy hear me? Marcus kissed the top of her head. Yeah, baby, she heard you and she's so proud. Emma added, We all are. After everyone left and Lily fell asleep on the booth, Marcus and Emma sat together at the piano in the quiet. Thank you for letting me into your lives, Emma said softly. Marcus looked at her, really looked, and said, Thank you for showing up and being what we needed. Emma smiled. Rachel wrote that love is about who stays, so I'm staying, for as long as you'll have me. Marcus reached for her hand. Lily's not the only one who needs you here. Nothing was rushed, nothing forced, just 2 people who'd found each other through grief and music, and a little girl who needed them both. Outside, the cafe sign glowed warm against the night. Inside, 3 people who'd lost everything had found something better, not a perfect family, just a real one. And in the space where Rachel's heart had lived, new hearts had learned to beat again, together in harmony. Sometimes the best second chances come wrapped in a song you thought you'd forgotten, sung by a voice you never knew you needed to hear. If this story touched your heart, hit subscribe so you never miss another tale of love, loss, and the family we choose. Click one of the videos on your screen, because every story we share might be the one that reminds you it's never too late to come home.